News tonight, the Pentagon says its air attacks on Afghanistan have done what they can for now. Next, the Special Forces. The spokesman for Al-Qeada says they will attack the U.S. again. They will hijack other planes. Are the U.S. food drops on Afghanistan making matters worse? Some relief agencies say yes. The government says the anthrax which killed a man in Florida was created in a lab. And we'll meet a man who may have saved thousands of lives on September the 11th when he wouldn't let them off the train.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening, everyone. The Pentagon said today that it basically owns the airspace over Afghanistan. There's been virtually no opposition in the air from the Taliban since the air attacks began. But the U.S. does not control the airwaves in the region, and late today, a man described as Al-Qaeda's spokesman, we have seen him before with Osama bin Laden, was seen on television openly defying the United States and promising more attacks on the United States itself. His statement was broadcast by Al Jazeera, the Middle East television network, and he said that the men who attacked the U.S. had done well because they took the battle to the United States.
Americans must know that the storm of aircraft will not calm down, God's willing, and that among the youth of the Islamic nation, there are thousands who are as keen to die as Americans are keen to live. Americans must also know that by invading the land of Afghanistan, they have turned a new page of hostility.
A battle for hearts and minds continues. We go now to the Pentagon and ABC's John McWethy for the military campaign. John, there was a significant change today.
On this third day, Peter, the air campaign changed dramatically.
With Afghanistan's modest air defenses now significantly reduced, American fighter jets are patrolling Afghan airspace day and night with little opposition.
I would call the threat pretty light for the most part from where I sit in the cockpit.
Targets worth striking are so scarce, planes are returning with full bomb loads.
We're not running out of targets, Afghanistan is.
The damage thus far, General Richard Myers, new chairman of the Joint Chiefs, showed the first pictures. Pockmarked runways, all but one airfield in the country is now crippled, he claims. An alleged terrorist training camp, before being attacked and after being carpet-bombed.
We did well in our initial strikes, damaging or destroying about 85% of the first set of 31 targets. But as in any military operation, we were not perfect.
4 part-time UN employees were killed in a village near Kabul when their building was flattened. One Pentagon explanation, impossible to confirm, was that a Tomahawk cruise missile was knocked off course by anti-aircraft fire. Last night, another Tomahawk missile got stuck in its launch tube, creating a spectacular fuel fire. Brief panic, but no harm, officials claim. Now that there is little to hit from the air, the U.S. focus is shifting to the ground. ABC News has learned that a large contingent of Special Operations Forces are moving toward the region tonight. In small teams, they are expected to infiltrate into Afghanistan quickly.
Right now, the game is to figure out the terrain, get acclimatized to the situation, let bin Laden sweat a little bit about the sorts of things we're going to do, and really work with our local allies on the ground.
Part of the American effort will be all but invisible. The surveillance alone could take months. Officials say it will be expensive, dangerous, and they admit that the teams may never find Osama bin Laden and his inner circle. And Peter, they insist they have no choice but to try.
Thanks, John. John McWethy at the Pentagon. It's very difficult to get a complete picture of what is happening inside Afghanistan. We get what we get from the Pentagon, and inside Afghanistan itself, we get what we get from the sources we can reach. Here's ABC's David Wright.
At the UN office where those Afghan workers were killed, people were digging through the ruins today.
We don't know why they have done this, why they have dropped bomb here.
The men who died were guards at one of the many offices responsible for removing landmines in Afghanistan. The stray bomb drew a rebuke from the United Nations. Other assessments of the bombing came today from the Taliban, which said its leader Mullah Omar and Osama bin Laden are still alive and in good health. Also, the main opposition force, the Northern Alliance, claimed that some 40 Taliban commanders have defected, along with more than 1,000 troops. There is no way to verify either claim. Some residents of Kabul and other cities say they're learning to live with the bombing runs. Others are terrified and furious. We want America to stop this war, said this old man. Many people are rushing to leave the cities. These families fled Jalalabad today, braving a difficult journey through the mountains. But far from the cities, in northern Afghanistan, tens of thousands of Afghans who've lived in refugee camps for years say they're convinced the U.S. attacks will soon mean they'll be able to go home, that the Taliban is in its last days.
You ask anybody, and they will tell you as soon as possible we're going home.
They are counting on these men, the Northern Alliance fighters, who were insisting again today that they will soon be marching on the capital. David Wright, ABC News in northern Afghanistan.